One of the best songs in the world is Pretty Green Eyes, and he started showing fried chicken and fries or something.
Welcome to Fried Chicken Fries, the Random Topic Selector podcast. It's episode 1. I am Richard Easterbrook. I'm joined tonight by Matthew Keeling. Hello, Matthew. Hello.
Hello. You alright? You said tonight as if, like, I'm not going to be here all of the nights.
Yeah, well, yes, no, and I said tonight, so I kind of already limits us to a time where you have to be listening to the podcast. You don't have to listen to it at night time. It's very much in all hours. You know, you could listen to it at 2 o'clock in the morning if you really wanted to.
That's when I usually listen to my podcasts.
Yeah. I listen to my podcasts primarily in the morning while I'm feeding the dogs. So.
Yeah, well, not a bad time for podcast. But this is probably the least time constrained podcast ever, really.
Well, yeah. I mean, the idea behind this podcast is for those who don't know, we also contribute to the Wise Men Say podcast, which is a football podcast primarily about Sunderland AFC. And we are want to stray into the tangents.
We are quite known for going off on tangents.
Yeah, and it doesn't please everybody.
No, it doesn't. So we thought we'd take it into an area where if you want to listen to our tangents, then they're all here. And this podcast is one big tangent, really. Well, by its name and nature, it just opens us up to various different tangents, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, each episode we're gonna just spin the random generator, which will throw up a pre-selected or preordained discussion topic which we've created or curated. And you guys, you listeners at home, will be able to suggest also topics for us to talk about. So it could be anything really. It could be a film, TV show, a music, band, item, gig, concert, anything that's kind of formed part of the zeitgeist in the last 40 years, really, or even longer.
But longer, really, if you want to, really challenge us. There are a few. It is laced with a bit of jeopardy as well. The wheel. There's some topics that we don't want to come up, but we thought it would be fun to have them in the wheel.
Yeah, just to throw them in there. We do get one veto per episode, so each episode's going to last around 45 minutes. And if really pushed for time, we can veto it, and hopefully that subject will come up in a later episode where we can discuss it in depth. If we want to, we might just talk for 45 minutes about one subject, or we might just talk for 45 seconds.
It could. There's no sort of time frame on the topics. It's not gonna. We'll try and do 3, I imagine, but if we're talking for ages about corned beef, for example,
is it on the list?
I don't think it is actually.
Put that on the list.
Get that on the list. Yeah,
get that on the list.
Get that on the list. We'll start again. And
our first subject today is it's corned beef.
It's corned beef, yeah. But if something really uninteresting comes up, like I don't know, physics or something, then like that we're not going to know much about that, are we?
No.
It's quite interesting. It's quite unpredictable, shall we say?
Yeah, and that's. I mean, there is a certain level of curation in that. We're not going to be talking about chemical compounds and stuff because we're just not going to add those to the list. Because we don't
know anything about. We need to have a basic of knowledge, I guess.
Exactly, or one of us, at least one of us. Has
one of us, yeah.
Yeah, and the other one can just be dragged along by it.
Yeah,
and we
film for me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we had this idea for a podcast a while ago because both me and Matt worked together for an ill-fated 9 months, and we kind of came up with the idea of how about we do this. And one of the initial ideas was to do like a random Wikipedia page and just talk about that, but we kind of tried that out and it was very
there's
loads of stuff.
Yeah, there's too much like just stuff that we just have no there are like millions of pages, and it's like some of them are literal chemical compounds, and it's like, well, but I can't even
Yeah.
pronounce any of the words on this page.
Or an invasion during the Boer War. Like,
Yeah,
we're
and
not
it's
going to
like,
know
well,
anything
I'm
about that. You
not even
can't
sure.
make that like we don't profess to be comedians, but we can't make that funny.
No, I mean, it doesn't really sound like a laugh, really.
No,
Like war, generally, like I would suggest
not
is
funny.
funny. Like, no,
No,
not really.
no. So hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit about each of the subjects that the random topic generator
Quite exciting,
will throw up. But first of all, we need to talk about the title,
actually.
uh, which is a little bit niche. But if you've kind of been on TikTok or any other kind of social media platform, you probably will know a little bit about what the reference is, and it refers to the big dog, Dazza, who's a character who is in a Benidorm nightclub, and he's listening to the best song in the world.
It's one of the
His
best
his
songs in
his
the
words,
world.
best song in the world. He's from Teesside, and the DJ sings chicken fried rice instead of Pretty Green Eyes because it's Pretty Green Eyes by Ultrabeat. And he storms out the nightclub.
Like instant, like it is like
Yeah,
because he starts singing it like pretty, and he's like realizes he's changed the words, and his face,
just drops.
he's just crestfallen by it, and then he storms out, and his mate's filming him, and he says, and he's like, "What's the matter with you?" And he goes, "What?" One of the best songs in the world is Pretty Green Eyes, and he's singing fried chicken fries or something over it.
Hi,
It's
chicken
like it's good
fries.
that he can't even decipher that he's singing chicken fry. He's so annoyed about the situation that he can't like
Yeah.
he can't like realize what the actual words are because it doesn't sound anything like fried chicken fries. But
No,
loads of flies, aren't there? Yeah,
it's a fruit fly. I'm sick of it. Add that to the list. Fruit flies.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely sick of them. Because not like other flies, they're all up in your grill and they're like the floaty.
Yeah,
But the fly at such a slow speed, yet are really kind of difficult to catch. Wow, that's gone. It's absolutely gone now. But
he's
yeah,
what?
fried chicken fries. It's ruined Pretty Green Eyes for me as well because I can't
But
hear it
yeah,
now.
because you can't,
Uh,
yeah, because you can't hear the normal song now.
yeah, yeah. But it is Teesside. It's Teesside abroad, isn't it? It's
Oh,
fantastic.
it's amazing. Like the accounts are credible. Like he's an absolute like he couldn't be any more from Teesside, this guy, and he's like it, he's just he's an absolute clip, really.
Yeah,
Like, and he goes around like he was doing something the other week where he was pretending to issue speeding tickets to mobility scooters, and people were like kind of falling for it, and then. He's just, I mean, he's just, I think he doesn't live, I don't think he lives in, but I think he just like relentlessly goes to Benidorm on holiday like about 12 times a year, but for like 2 weeks at a time. He
yeah,
just seem to fly because he missed a flight, I think, not that long ago. But the fried chicken fries thing is like, it's his Nebworth, really. It's the reaction to the instant while I'm leaving here. This is it. That's
yeah.
really, like,
Ruined. You've
he was
ruined the
sitting,
best song in
yeah,
the
you've
world.
ruined it. And like, it's one of the best songs in the world is Pretty Green Eyes, like as well. I
I
mean,
love that. You know,
yeah.
you've got Bohemian Rhapsody. You've got yeah, Stone Roses. You've got Oasis's back
It's just lost
catalogue.
the ability to think of any other song.
Any music, it's just gone. You got the Beatles back catalogue. All of that, all of the music of the last
One of the best songs
70
in the
years
world,
in
Pretty Green
Ultra
Eyes.
Beats 2002 or 3.
It's a classic, to be fair,
It's really good.
classic of the genre, but it's certainly not one of the best songs in the world. I would say Big Dog, but
Also,
that's
you'll
where the
you'll
name
have
comes from.
you'll have noticed our theme tune. It is a little bit of a nod towards that. In that we've just found a rights free song that kind of has a
Yeah,
trancey housey kind of style.
Ultra Beat didn't return the call, so
No, I don't think they'd be too receptive to us using
no,
it.
no, I don't think. Wonder if we could rip the audio off fried chicken fries and use that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are very, very, very early days of this podcast, and I don't think they'll be listening.
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, other dog was listening there. Frank appearing on another podcast as he usually does.
Yeah, we're both dog owners, so between us we have 3 dogs, and you're more likely to hear Frank than Monty and Teddy, but they'll be around. They'll be around. Teddy's somewhere. I think he's waiting outside because he wants to be in here. He's got he's got a podcast to record. He's got the meeting
room book, does he?
The dog podcast.
Dogcast.
Yeah. But yeah, that's fried
that's
chicken.
That's the name,
yeah. That's it in a nutshell.
In case you're wondering why that podcast followed you the other day, why is it called this? A few people did message me and go, "Oh, I forgot about that video."
That's it.
So there you go. Yeah, we should do. What are you going to say? Should we spin the wheel? Yes, we should.
We should spin the wheel. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to spin the wheel. First topic, the first proper topic of the podcast is definitely maybe.
Ah, well, that's it's quite apt, really.
It is.
30 years this year.
You heard before?
No. Next.
Yeah, we're gonna have to play the veto. Sorry. No, it is a seminal album. I don't even know what that means. I guess
I don't really know what seminal
very
means.
Good. Used to hear Joe Wiley saying it quite a lot on like the evening session. And she said it quite a lot, so everything was great. But no, it came out on the 29th of August 1994. So we are celebrating its 30th year. And it was obviously Oasis's first full-length album, under its more kind of recognized lineup, you would say.
Oh, it's great. Oh, it is great though. I've just seen Liam do it twice on the 30th anniversary tour of it. And I was just writing about it a while ago because kind of Oasis kind of fall in and out as you get older. I feel Oasis kind of fall in and out if you're listening, and they kind of become almost.
Would you say that they fade in and out?
They could too, yeah. They do fade in and out, yeah. I just kind of, when I was 18, 19, 20, Oasis were the best band in the world. Like, you couldn't convince me otherwise. There was no one better than Oasis. I think as you get older, they kind of realize that actually they're probably not. Like, they probably aren't the best band ever. But then you listen to them and you go, oh, no, they are, though, aren't they, really? And then that's kind of where I'm at now again. Because obviously going to see Liam do it, I listen to Definitely Maybe a lot. And then you go through that and you go through the B-sides and it's like, this is just like one album of them. It's like incredible. Like some of the stuff, some of the B-sides are amazing on it. I mean, I know for all the faults in the later years Oasis had, but like their early stuff, God, it's pretty like remarkable when you think they just kind of, here you go then. This is what we do.
Obviously they had such a kind of an effort to get that first album, to be a faithful representation of the live stuff, because obviously the live act was fairly well known in kind of the UK indie scene, but when they were trying to put it onto CD, it just didn't sound right. So they got producer Owen Morris, who was, I think he was only an engineer at the time, and he had
I don't think he'd ever produced anything, had he? Is that right?
No, I don't think he had, no. And I think his policy was just basically to compress everything so the quiet bits sounded loud and the loud bits sounded a bit more loud, and then just turn everything up.
Would you turn it up? Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like being at a gig because it's so loud. Like, incredibly, you can listen to it quietly and it sounds loud.
It's so loud. It's arguably, it's distorted. So it's just sound like the sound, it isn't, it's not well produced at all. It's like, if this was like, an accomplished band going into a studio and the producer, there you go, hang on, what? This sounds like, I mean, but it works, and it's like, Like Morning Glory produced like that would have just been a car crash. Like it would have been shocking. But I
And
think like
it kind of was, but it was just like just their musicianship kind of improved.
yeah, but like
Um,
you couldn't like the songs like Hey Now and that you couldn't like it just wouldn't have necessarily sounded as good as
mm,
Hey Now does, and it still does come on louder in the jukebox.
yeah, and it makes people sit up and go, bloody hell, that's good.
What's
And I
your
think a favorite.
What's your favorite one off the album?
I always come back to Slide Away.
Mm.
I know it sounds a bit obvious.
No, I don't think it's
I
too.
know what yours is, but I always come back to Slide Away and the introduction to Supersonic
Oh yeah,
is, I think it's unbeatable in terms of the last 30, certainly the last, I'd say 40 years of music.
incredible, isn't it?
That intro, you just can't
Maybe a
beat it.
single as well. That like
Yeah.
that intro, and you do. It's like the slide down the neck of the guitar from Bonehead, like when it like because he was doing that at the tour. No one's but the time seeing Liam without Bonehead, no one's been able to like replicate like the screech that
Yeah.
comes during the intro. And like when they played that the other night, it was like this is just like St. Oasis. Like this is how it would have sounded in
Yeah.
1994. It's incredible.
Well,
But I think
they were using really cheap equipment as well. I mean, guitar wise, it the guitars are the expensive things, but they're using cheap amps and
mm,
cheap pedals as well. So it was really, if you've got a little bit, well, it's really easy to do now because you can do it digitally. You can just recreate that sound if you wanted. That guitar
yeah,
tone, it's quite easy to, if you've got a practice amp, even you can just turn up the overdrive to somewhere approaching full, and just that's the beauty of Oasis songs is that you can, and it's not being reductive to say, oh, they're really easy to play, because they are really easy to play. It's like three,
but
four
that's why they're
chords.
good though. Like that's why like I think that Bonehead was asked what his favorite song to play was, and his favorite song to play is Columbia, which is my favorite song, and because it's it's three chords in the whole song. It's
Yeah.
three bar blues, isn't it? Like the whole thing, and it's like Columbia is I think it's an amazing song, and it's like I could play that on the guitar. Like
Yeah.
anyone with arms could play that. But sorry if you don't have arms, and you just like, we are like inclusive. Like you don't have to have arms to listen to this podcast. You might need arms to turn it on, but you
Forming
might.
chords with the head.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've got a bad head actually. Um, anyone else got a bad head? I know it's because you bring guitar with your face, right? I think yeah. What were we saying then before we got distracted about Pete with no arms? See, this is what's
It's
going
just no, it's just that they're accessible.
to.
Uh, I've said it quite a lot that Oasis are, they've got a very punk tendency.
Mm,
In that first album, so direct, so loud, and so raw,
the
and
drumming as well. Like
the drumming very punk. Tony McCarroll, I think he's the best drummer they've had, and
I think
people
he's
have their arguments
yeah.
for why Noel kicked them out the band when they went to do What's the Story, Moan and Glory. Maybe because he was struggling with the more intricate songs, the Champagne Supernovas, and
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff from What's the Story, Moan and Glory had a bit more of a kind of a shuffle, kind of
Yeah.
like a swing beat to it. Like Don't Look Back in Anger. It's very distinctive when you hear Alan White, the replacement for Tony McCarroll, hear his drum, and it sounds very different. You listen to a lot of the live stuff that they did as well, especially Nebworth. A lot of the Definitely Maybe songs, I think, sound poorer. I don't think they've managed to recreate the sound of Definitely Maybe that they captured on disc, and that's because
No.
Tony McCarroll, left soon after this came out.
No, I think you're right. I think like McCarroll's drumming was very like he wasn't the best drummer, he's a very basic drummer.
Yeah.
But like he was the best drummer for Oasis, and like White's like over drums it as well.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely, yeah,
like he's like showboating with the drums, and it's like Noel obviously preferred that, but Noel ended up re-recording a load of the stuff anyway. Like that he would do that. He did it with Giggs's bass stuff. Just went and just overlaid it anyway in the studio. Which I think says more about him really than the other musicians. But
mm.
yeah, and then obviously they went like White was in there for what 10 years was he? maybe a bit less. But then you got like then they was the only actual official drummer they had apart from McCarroll, and the others they just had his sessions and touring um, musicians like Zach Starkey and
Yeah,
Chris Sharrock were they were never actually officially in the band, I don't think, because they just went as a four piece after that. Um, with
there's
Rides, Andy Bell, and County Durham,
yes,
Cam Archer.
there's a TikTok video of Liam's voice through the years. I think he's singing Supersonic all the way through,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and they just take each year at a time live performance, and the song just gets slower and slower and slower.
yeah, yeah.
Like, is that a conscious choice, or by the end of it, 2008, 2009, when they did split, it sounded like half the speed.
Yeah, there's the famous 2006, which is just awful. I think it's recorded in Argentina, and he sounds horrendous. And he did go through like Liam's voice went through a spell of being pretty unlistenable live. Like his voice had gone. He wasn't singing the words properly. He wasn't finishing the words properly. Um, but now I don't know. It'd be interesting actually to listen to the ones he's just done alongside the early ones to see what the speed difference is like because it felt like it was pretty up there, but I bet it wasn't.
Yeah, well, it'd be close. I mean, he is singing a lot better
Oh, his
now.
voice is incredible. Yeah,
I think he's probably, he's living better, and he's
yeah.
probably a little bit more serious about his music. But his voice was always incredible, even when it
Uh,
wasn't. Even when it wasn't at its best, it was still.
his early voice, like the early, like the '94 Glastonbury performance, is like amazing.
Yeah, just incredible. When they bumped up to be headliners for that year or something, that was one of the big breaks that they had.
They did headline. I think they headlined. I don't think they headlined the Pyramid that soon, but they did headline something. I think they only headlined it once in 2005. Um, the famous white Parker that he
Oh
wore
yeah, yeah,
and a shaven. He just looked like John Lennon. He had like the
yeah,
shaven head and the beard. I'm just telling you what a beard was in case you
yeah. You're
didn't.
just making the yes, despite me being a proud
Stuff.
wearer
Well,
of a beard, a
beards.
beard of sorts.
I can't
Another
go.
another thing about I don't know if it's because I'm obviously served stuff on TikTok that's kind of stuff that I enjoy using the old algorithm. But I'm
Mm.
seeing loads of young bands playing Oasis songs.
Yeah, there's some great covers.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of that first album is that you can pick any song on it and do a quick Google search for the chords, and you'll be playing it within if you know the kind of root chords, you could be playing it within minutes. It's nothing complicated on
Like
there.
Digsy's Dinner's so good, isn't it? Like it's so like it's just hilarious. Song about lasagna, and then you got like 30 years later, like arenas sold out for 4 nights in a row with people going berserk while a 50-something-year-old man sings about lasagna.
Yeah,
It's like I think like that's probably the biggest testament to Oasis there is that like people still care enough to sing about going to this like Digsy, who's just this kind of character around the band that they knew.
yeah,
Oh, but this probably won't go anywhere. We'll just put this on, and then 30 years later, like the Hydro's full of I don't know 15,000 people, and the O2's sold out for 4 nights, and it's singing. I'd never heard it live before, because the Oasis never used to fucking play it, did they? No,
no, they wouldn't
no,
have.
you're not having Noel not playing that, is he?
No, it's one of my biggest regrets. I didn't go and see them when they played Sunderland in their last what turned out to be the last tour.
Yeah, I saw them. I camped out for tickets. That's how long ago it was.
I lived not far from the stadium at the time, and I could hear it, so I sat on my doorstep for a bit. But
Almost like standing on the shoulders of giants there.
standing on the doorsteps of idiots because I should have
I
got.
queued overnight and I was supposed to be at college the next day. And I did go because my mum made me go to college.
No, I thought you were going to say your mum meant you made you go to the Oasis gig.
No, it's the,
Matthew,
you
you'll
must
regret
go.
this.
You must go. So I queued overnight, and I was like, and I remember just going into college and people just offering me loads of money for these tickets, and I was like, no, they're mine. And then I fell asleep in English, so I was asked to leave. You can, if you're gonna fall asleep in my lesson, you can get out. So I did, and off
That
I went.
was what was more memorable? Was it the day after being tired in college, or was it being at the gig? Don't know. Was the gig any good? Or was
Nah,
it
the gig was all right. They were okay. Like musically, it was great, and obviously seeing Oasis in your hometown was amazing. But like you could tell that they didn't look at each other. There was no like interaction with each other. His voice wasn't great at that time, 2008, 2009. The set list was pretty good. Obviously, the atmosphere was amazing. It was a lovely evening. And I was like 17. So it was like class. I went with my uncle and his mates and that, and it was an incredible afternoon and like an amazing night. I think the support bill, like Kasabian were massive at the time. They were second on the bill, and I think the enemy with
the enemy? I was going to say the enemy. Yeah,
very, very of its time.
yeah.
And Reverend and the Makers, I think, were first up. They were great, actually. I really like them. And it was like an incredible night. But like, I think if you were to listen to the gig now, it would be awful. Um,
I listened to when they re-released the
oh
Nebworth
yeah,
performance. And I don't know if it's like a composite of the two nights or whether it was the first
yeah.
night that they recorded.
Yeah. I'm not sure actually.
Because I know there was a certain like there's a I don't know how true it is, but there's a rumor that both Liam and Noel forgot it was two nights, so
Yeah,
got absolutely wasted
yeah.
the first night, and then had to do it again the next night. But if you just like the chat between the songs, it's complete gibberish.
Oh, it's utter no,
It's
no.
like he's talking in reverse. Is that?
Yeah, yeah,
It's similar with the main road gig as well, which I think I prefer
yeah.
to
Uh,
Nebworth.
yeah, I think his voice is better than that.
Mm.
But the slide away at Nebworth is amazing. I think the version of
Just
slide away on that album, that recorded, is incredible. Especially the second chorus when he like just screams it essentially. Um, I'm gonna listen to that after this. I think.
I think like it. I went through a phase where I was like, oh, I'm probably, I've probably grown up a little bit now, and my music tastes are probably a little bit mature. But you always come back to them. You
Yeah,
always come back to them. Like, and
they get.
I'm one of the rare people that holds "Be Here Now" very dear. I come back to that one probably more than I do to definitely maybe and What's the Story, Morning Glory.
Yeah, I think well we can't go into that too much because it's on the wheel.
It's on the wheel, yeah.
But I think Oasis get. I'm the same. Like you're kidding yourself if you think that Oasis aren't one of your favorite bands, and I think like they get a lot of unjust snobbery. There's a lot of musical
Yeah.
snobbery towards Oasis, and it's like, all right, then you go to a gig and listen to Champagne Supernova and tell me it's shit
Yeah.
because you won't. Like it's impossible to do that. So I don't know. There's like very much like the crowds are always quite like you always think they're going to be really edgy, but they're not really. When you go and see Liam, it's like everyone just it just brings like they do bring like people from all kind of backgrounds together as well. It's just because everyone just like everyone just fucking loves Liam Gallagher in it. Like everyone,
Yeah.
everyone just wants to be him. Really, like it would just be class to be Liam Gallagher.
I think it would be because he has matured, and he seems a funny guy. He always he seems a lot more comfortable being Liam Gallagher than Noel
Yeah,
Gallagher is being
he's
Noel
a nice
Gallagher.
guy.
That makes sense.
He is very much like he is what he is, and it's not an act really. He's just a nice guy now as well. He's adopted a dog and he's got cats and he lives with his missus on like Hampstead Heath or something, and like still just. You saw a video of him earlier where he was blessing himself with Guinness. So yeah, so he's still got it really.
It's on the list as well, Guinness.
Oh yeah, I hope we get that soon.
But there was going to be there was a report this week that Wembley was booked for two
Yeah,
dates in July.
yeah. I'm led to believe that there is some truth in some of the stories. They're gonna get back together. It's 30 years of what's the story Morning Glory next year. Like, I don't think he'll be doing that anniversary on his own.
No,
They might be
I
doing
don't.
that in a pyramid. They're in a headline it, aren't they? They have to come back and headline Glastonbury. I have to.
Yeah, I think it is. I always thought it was going to happen, even when Noel's solo career was going a little bit better than Liam's. Liam was there with BDI, and it wasn't.
Some of us were there with BDI.
That never really took to them. I was like Noel Gallagher's first album. I thought was all right. I enjoyed
It's
it.
okay, but I like BDI stuff. Well, I think I know this isn't definitely maybe such, but
No,
I think he could release any of that stuff now, and it's as good as his solo stuff. He just wasn't flavor of the month at the time in the press, and I saw them in 20. I saw them a few times BDI, but the last time I saw them to the second album was at the Academy in Newcastle when it was still the Academy. What was that old? 1800, maybe 2000 at most.
yeah,
The tickets on the door for that.
crazy.
We had a spare and we couldn't get rid of the ticket. It was mental.
Didn't give
Crazy.
them away.
And that was the first time he did Oasis songs again.
Yeah,
Because he'd stubbornly refused to do them on the first album.
yeah. It's very funny that they kind of know which side the bread's buttered on now. It's like,
Yeah. Just sing.
and they're comfortable with that as well.
Yeah, it's fine. His solo stuff's good. And it's we saw him in Paris and he was amazing, but it's no one's here for Wall of Glass, really, mate.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. Once is good. It's, but no one's really here for that.
Yeah, the Beatles were the same with it when they broke up. They went through this kind of, or did the solo stuff. Even Ringo, but they never kind of steadfastly refused to do any of the Beatles stuff. Like John Lennon never did really.
Yeah,
he did the odd one here and there. Obviously, he was taken way too soon. But now, if you look at Paul McCartney set list,
well,
all the big Beatles songs are in there, and he he's proud of it and he owns it, and there's no kind of there's nothing wrong with being a kind of tribute act to yourself.
Do you think? Yeah, well, no, exactly. Do you think they would have got back together?
Yeah, the Beatles.
Yeah,
I think they would have done eventually. It wouldn't have lasted long because the forces that were pulling them apart in the late 60s would have.
Yeah,
it would have happened anyway.
Do you think he would have joined him on? Do you think he would have joined him at his Glastonbury headline?
When just walked out in front of it.
Yeah.
Imagine if did happen. Imagine. Yeah. No, I think they all, with the exception of Ringo, they all.
He was good in Thomas the Tank, though. To be fair,
yeah, you wouldn't have had that if the Beatles had stayed together.
We wouldn't have had.
We wouldn't have had Thomas the Tank Engine. So put that on the list.
The Isle of Sodor.
I think that was originally. I think it was offered to John Lennon or Paul McCartney. It was offered to a Beatle, and then they turned it down, and it went to Ringo. Seems quite apt, really. They're Pete Best doing terribly, completely out of time. Yeah, no Beatles joke there. Right. Well, I think we've done definitely maybe by talking about everything, but definitely maybe.
Yeah, very good.
I think that kind of sets the tone for this podcast, really.
I would imagine so. Yeah,
we will go on tangents.
Good. Tangents are good.
Yeah.
That's what it's all for.
That's it. Life's built on tangents.
Why you're here or not?
This podcast a tangent.
Yeah. Built off the basis of tangents.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we do another one or what?
Well, I think for time, we might see if we've got time for one more.
Pushed for time.
Since it's the first episode, it's a pilot episode, isn't it? So,
okay.
Right, I'm spinning.
Oh, he's spinning.
Got the jeopardy. It's a good one. It's only Fools and Horses.
Right.
Specifically, the moment where.
Right.
Specifically, it's the moment where Uncle Albert reacts in shock at Rodney seeing another woman. which is it's one of the greatest bits of, of TV.
It's so funny. If you haven't seen this, surely everyone's seen this. Like,
Yeah,
it's so funny. Because I think to set the backdrop quickly, he's Rodney's broken up with Cassandra
yes.
and is going on a date with someone else.
I think is it
He's,
like someone
he's
from the dentist?
yeah, yeah. No,
Yes.
oh, I can't. Yeah, it is. And he's revealed to Dell that he's meeting a girl, and Dell wants to kind of stop him going out, so he tells Albert to act incredibly shocked when he finds out. But as soon as literally as soon as Rodney walks back into the room without saying anything, he goes, it's terrible. And the best thing about it is Del Boy's like David Jason is like desperately trying to hold a laugh in. You can see him because he's like corpsing really badly.
Yeah. I don't think it is a dentist. I think they'll.
It is Del that goes out with the dentist, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's around that era.
But it's and it,
Yeah.
so it, I think it takes him four goes to say because at first he goes, "No, I'm going out," and then he's like, "No, I'm going to the cinema." And he go, "Not now!" And every time he does it, he go. But then when he actually says, "Go," Albert's having a drink, isn't he? So he forgets.
Yeah.
The Delboy's lashing him with a newspaper, trying to get him. Oh, go!
Go, go. You heard Buster Merrifield talk in an interview?
No,
He's incredible. Well, he was. He's incredibly well spoken.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Knocked him out.
yeah, knocked him out. So he'll sit there on like Wogan or something. He'll be like, oh yes, and the thing you need to remember about Uncle Albert is, he's very man of the people.
Oh,
It's just
no,
really
that's mad,
really
man.
weird, really weird.
That's mad. What are your thoughts generally on Only Fools and Horses?
Much the same as Oasis, really.
Right, they
Not in
are
that
very
they're the best
similar.
rock and roll band in the world. I just mean like I think because it was so kind of. I mean, I grew up. I'm younger than you, but it was like
Hang on, what?
it was it was ever present. Growing up with the series and the repeats and Christmas specials. It was always on TV. I think it was at the time. It was every footballer's favorite TV show.
Yeah,
It was the biggest thing. I
it
think
is.
it's easy enough to write that off and go, oh, because it's really popular. And I know there's like lesser comedians like Stuart Lee do bits about Del Boy falling through the bar, which was funny, and I saw that live at the time.
That is funny though.
And I was
Like
crying.
him falling through the bar is hilarious. Like that is just really funny. There's no
Mm,
it's like you watch that for the first time and you just laugh. Like it's funny.
yeah,
I
and
think
there's
it's
some of it that hasn't aged too well.
no, some of it's very poorly, but for
But
various reasons.
show us the 1980s sitcom that hasn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of things that they can't show anymore, and it's like, and there's just some references that are like, oh dear.
Mm,
I think like there's a bit of a golden period. I do like the episodes when they become sort of 50 minutes.
yeah,
When you've got like um I used to Mike in the pub as well when he becomes like a real like gem of a character. Del Boy constantly trying to like avoid paying for his drinks.
yeah.
That just gets like more and more like obscene as it goes on, like trying to like swap him for a hairdryer and like making him do magic tricks and turn your hands over. And I think when the episodes are longer, the stories are better. I know it's not really about stories, but like the Slater one, like
Yeah,
who's Rachel? Like that's just like that's hilarious. Like Uncle Albert as well. Like when he come in, he's just so much better than Granddad. I think.
yeah. I think as obviously he was only brought in because the actor that played Grandad, died mid series.
Leonard Pierce.
Leonard Pierce, yeah. So even how they handled that was just really well done.
Yeah, the funeral, and then the bit of comedy when has anyone seen my hat?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, what you're saying about the longer episodes, they're great. Like To Hull and Back,
Oh yeah,
fantastic.
it's like film that I like.
Yeah, but the payoff, like it was John Sullivan was just a king at bringing something up in an earlier episode,
Yeah,
early in the episode, and it has nothing to do with things, and you think, oh, what? I don't know what he's talking about that for. At the end of the
yeah,
episode, that's the thing. That's the payoff, and it's always every episode is a killer payoff, ends on a laugh, freeze frame, then two theme tunes,
yeah, yeah,
sitcoms, two theme
yeah,
tunes, each as good as each other. The second theme
yeah.
tune, I think, is an
I
absolute
prefer.
belter.
Yeah, it's better. I think the closing credits for
Yeah,
me. Um, no, it's great. I mean, it's of its time, obviously, and I like it works with like the. Sorry, I'm just about to die. That wasn't on
fine.
a reel.
Put that on the list. Matthew's untimely demise. Imagine that.
Oh, if you died on it,
Hey, Tommy
oh,
Cooper.
it'd be
Put that on
awful.
the list. Tommy Cooper.
Tommy Cooper dying. Who was the one that died at Sunderland Empire?
Sid
Sid.
James.
Be more like him, really.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I don't know anything about him. He's dead, like now.
dead now.
Died on Strictly. No, I think it's like very of its time. It works like with the things like the introduction of the technology of the time, like the filofax, chucking
Yeah.
his filofax down the chute. Del Boy having like all of the gadgets, but they never work because they're all knocked off and nicked and stolen, and you know, and like Rodney's like the perfect foil.
Yeah.
Like, although I was talking to I won't name him, but my friend of another pod who claims that Nicholas Lyndhurst is pound for pound the worst actor of all time.
Outside of Only Fools and Horses, he's probably right. Like,
Yeah.
did you ever watch Good Night, Sweetheart?
No.
God, that's problematic.
Right.
It's basically a two-timer, that a time traveling two-timer.
Yeah, all right, okay.
That's the premise. He's called Gary. He's called Gary in the I can't remember. He's loads of people were called Gary in the 90s, but
Way.
that refers back to another Only Fools and Horses episode when
Yeah, of course. Yeah, a later one though, which they probably
yeah,
should have ended by then.
yeah, and again that hasn't aged too well. And that was only 20 years ago.
Yeah,
But no,
2001 that. No,
was
not
it?
not the only thing to age badly from that time, but yeah.
But yeah, he didn't go on to do that much, and maybe he didn't need to, Lyndhurst. But
No, what else was he? Was he in anything else apart from them two?
um, well, he's come back. What was he in? He was in something recent, wasn't he? He was in the reboot of Frasier,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
which apparently he was quite good in. I haven't
right.
seen it yet. But yeah,
Just
I
played
don't know.
Rodney.
Yeah, well, that's the thing because you've been everyone's friend on the TV, and every Friday night I think it was on during my day. I think it was a Friday night, and all the repeats would be on all the time. I don't think people can see him as anyone else.
Well, it'd
Or
be like, yeah,
something.
it's madness. It's like, imagine like Steve McDonald from Coronation Street being in like anything else.
No, but I
You
went
never get the
Del.
part for
Dave,
him.
David Jason did it with a touch of frost.
Yeah, I've never seen that because it's quite serious, isn't it?
Yeah, I watched it waiting for the
M-
waiting for
My
the
mum
funny
and dad
payoff.
used
It's like watching Philadelphia because Tom Hanks was in it and he did loads of funny films before that. You think, where's the laugh?
Is everything all right there, Tom? Like, I think my mum and dad used to watch Touch of Frost. And I just didn't because it was all like not funny in that.
Yes, it's fairly serious being a detective. Not a very nice detective either. He's quite
Oh,
nasty.
all right.
Yeah.
I love them now. I might watch it.
But also he had only open all hours before that as well. Before he did Only Fools
All
and
right,
Horses.
good, 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 good,
Real
good,
big
good, good,
gig.
good, Granville.
So he's I think he's probably the better actor anyway than
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think back to that scene, obviously, which was specifically the topic.
yeah.
I think like that must have been done in one.
Yeah,
Like that must have been the only time they did that because him laughing makes him like Jason's face like makes that, especially when it's the third one I think, and he's like biting his. You can see him like biting his tongue and picking up the newspaper. And it's like the delivery of it, like Albert forgetting to do it, is just so like it's like comic timing on it is just amazing. Like it's fantastic. It's made me want to watch. I've forgotten what
yeah.
episode is actually.
No, I need to find it. I think it's my favorite. It's my favorite Only Fools and Horses moment
Oh,
by
yeah.
far. Del Boy falling through the bar
No, that's good.
is great, and I'll still watch that now and still find it funny.
No,
Um,
it is funny that. I mean, the other the other classic is which should have probably been the last episode when he mixes the coffee and the gravy,
yes,
and Del Boy makes sure that he has. No, no, we know how much you like your gravy, and just pours lots of coffee on.
it's quite nasty though.
Oh yeah, it's awful. Yeah, how can I
Yeah.
tell the difference? Well, this one's got gravy granules on it. This one's got Maxwell House coffee.
One of my favorite. I think my probably my second favorite Only Fools and Horses moment is another Uncle Albert moment. And it's into Hull and back, where they bring Albert on board because of his sailing acumen. So because they've chartered a frigate of some description, with it using all the money that they've got, and they drag Uncle Albert in, and he brings a bag of clothes, but not their clothes.
Yeah. Ahoy there!
Which,
That's brilliant. You bring
there's a bit
you
where
want me to bring yours as well.
where they call him out to kind of do a bit of navigation, and Rodney says, "Oh, you can use the stars," and when Albert walks out, looks up, and goes, "There's millions of them."
It's Concord. Yeah. Oh, I'm
So
just
good.
saying, it's Concord.
There's millions of them.
That's brilliant, though.
I think
Just,
I
you
think
make
standalone probably that's probably my favorite episode.
I think
Just
the Hullenback's the best because the storyline is quite good as well.
yeah, it's like obviously feature length and filmed on proper film, so it feels like a film.
There's no laughing track on that, is there?
I'm not sure there is no. It's a bit like Miami Twice, which is a little bit more glossy.
Yeah, poor that, I think.
Is that the one where Rodney wins? Is it Rodney wins the
If Rodney wins Del buys a holiday basically for Rodney. The first one's quite good, split into two parts, and then they go to Miami. When he wins the holiday, when he pretends to be 15, that's really funny.
Yeah.
But the Miami Twice second one's no, it's not for me. That
yeah, but those kind of episodes became the bread and butter, the special standalone episodes. And I think it probably should have finished when they won the lottery.
Well, it was the natural ending.
Not won the lottery, when they sold the watch.
Yeah, that was.
They went off into the sunset, and that was it. That was it. Full stop.
Yeah, like, but money in it. Ironically.
Yeah, but it's a lot of it, probably 99% of it stands the test of time.
Yeah, I would say so. I think there's like with everything, there's a few iffy moments and oh dear moments, but yeah, I would watch it. I would happily sit and watch it for a few hours. To be fair,
yeah, which is probably what I'm going to go and do now while listening to Oasis.
Yeah,
which is quite a heady cocktail.
Well, I've got I'm going to watch the football. Georgia have just scored against Portugal. There's a timestamp on the podcast.
Yeah, well, the idea is not the idea, but the beauty of this is that it won't have that much of a timestamp on it.
Sorry if you haven't seen that episode and we've spoiled
it. The only difference is if someone subsequently dies. We've been talking about them in quite a flippant way. We can't really control that. But the beauty is you should be able to drop in and listen to, episode 4 without having listened to episode 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, do what you want. Yeah. Ideally, you listen to all of them, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you because we're going to put the subjects that we discuss in the title.
Yeah.
And if you don't like those particular subjects,
just skip.
Just skip.
But as you've seen, other subjects will follow. So each week,
Yeah,
that's for everyone.
That's it in a nutshell. Nutshells, put that on the list.
What nuts?
No, not
Love
just
nuts. I bought some nuts earlier. Cashews.
They're not a nut. They're a droop.
Same as a peanut. Is it a legume? Is it a legume?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's pedantic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but yeah.
Not the kind of argument you have when you're having an anaphylactic shock.
yeah.
Well, actually, I think you'll find.
I think you'll find. Oh, I don't care what it is.
And your head's 3 times the size that it was to start off with.
He's a big-headed guy.
Right. Well, that's it. That's the first episode of Fried Chicken Fries.
It was good, that.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
I
don't know how land this one. We haven't really.
Well, we'll see
any kind of sign off.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.